Okay.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for inviting me up here. I had it all planned out to leave right on time, and of course I overslept and had to drive too fast to get here. But I made it before Jack, so I guess that means everything's all well.
That's what I heard too.
That's what I heard from your father. I was thinking this week what I could talk about, and then the first question I asked Jack was, how many minutes do I have, Jack? Because I can go on.
What did I say?
10 minutes. So you can set your clock now.
Well, you can come back and have a whole service of it.
So I was thinking about what to talk about, and I try to pray about it and let the Spirit guide me and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
So, and he does. I wanted to talk about seasons of life. The seasons that I've had. I was a doc for 30 years out in the world. I have 6 kids, and enjoyed my time as a doc. Loved being a doc the whole time. And then I was arrested and ended up going to court because I said I didn't commit this crime, and got found guilty, and ended up the 1 to 2 year felony. They gave me 10 to 20 years, so I just got out of jail after 9 years. And people say, "Oh my gosh, that can't be. It's horrible," and it's like that's such a curse. But it was such a blessing. I got to take that time and run around and play some sports and stay young and all that kind of stuff, but really to convene with the Lord. My brothers got me a TV right off the bat, and I was blessed being able to watch TBN. And after watching all those, tremendous preachers for 9 years, you'd think I want to learn something, wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. So I did that, and I didn't forget how to read, so I could read the Bible and hopefully learn a few things about that. So when my chance to get out, which was June 12th, came up, I knew it was the beginning of a new season, and I ended up going to a halfway house where I still am, but I'm about to get out of there as well. So this season, which has been about 6 months long, there's been plenty of negative pieces to it, but overall has been incredibly tremendous. It's been wonderful. The people I have met, the things that the Lord has had me do, and it's incredible. So I wanted to quote a little bit out of this book that we carry around. And from Ecclesiastes, it says, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven." And then, as you know, it goes on. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck, and so on. And then shortly thereafter, in chapter 9, it says these words, which have really meant something to me in this season. Chapter 9, verse 11. "I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill." And this is all as the world thinks. That's how you become the best you can be, by those things. But then it says, "But time and chance happen to them all." Time and chance happen to them all. Like fish, and then it goes on in a negative sense, like fish taken in a cruel net, like birds caught in a snare. So the sons of men are snared in an evil time when it falls suddenly upon them. And that was me. I think if I had done things in a wiser way in my practice, I would never have been arrested. I would never have lost this case and all this kind of stuff. But God takes all things and turns them for good. Mm-hmm. And so that he is doing that in my life, which is just amazing. There's a Hebrew word, which I don't know how to spell it in Hebrew, but Jake is with us. He could actually write this on because he can write in Hebrew. Called kara. And it means right place, right time. And there's examples of that. So for instance, in Ruth, when Ruth says to Naomi, "I'm going to go glean in the fields and I hope that I get favor." And boom, she ends up in the field of Boaz. And it talks about the hap, or in the Old King James, it says hap. It says in the New King James, a happening. It happened. So it's a happening, and that's what it is. And it's the right time, right place that God prepares for you and has you go to and through for your good. So it happens with believers. It can happen with others as well, but mainly with believers. In Greek, that word comes to be kairos. And so in the New Testament, you see all these things that are happening at the right time in the right place. Well, this is what happened to me. You know, in the last, it's only been 5 or 6 months since I've been out. And so I get out of jail and I'm in this halfway house and I'm right in Chester, which is, you know, a place where if you're wanting to buy drugs and do things like that, it's probably very available. Not exactly where I wanted to be, but there I was. So I walked out of there, but Widener University is right where I am. So 2 days later on a Friday evening, it was kind of warm out, but I took a walk. And as I'm walking up the street, it's very, you know, quiet. There was nobody there, but it was a big intersection. And I see this guy coming up the street, and he's pointing at me. And it turns out he was a black guy, wearing like a white t-shirt. And he's saying, I gotta talk to you, I gotta talk to you. And I'm thinking, as he's saying this and coming up, and then he's gonna come across the street, I'm thinking, Lord, you got me, right? You're gonna watch out for me here in Chester, right? So he comes up to me, he's got alcohol in his breath, and he says, I don't know why I've never done this before, but I just have to talk to you. And after a minute or two, after he was talking, I said, maybe it's because you see God in me. I don't really know. He said, yeah, maybe that's it, maybe that's it. Alcohol's been killing me for 20 years, and I don't know what to do about it. Well, the next 25 minutes, we talked about a bunch of things, and I ended up leading him to the Lord right there on the street corner. And it was, so we get done this whole thing, and he actually, during the time, he takes his phone out and he calls his wife. And he hands the phone to me, and I gotta know this lady, I know this guy. And I say to her, listen, your husband's quite a character. I said, but you might want to take him to church on Sunday, and if you haven't been going, maybe you should too. So he turns around and then he leaves, and I turn around and I'm starting to walk back, and I just stopped and I said, Lord, what is this all about? What did you just do right here? Mm-hmm. And it was a Kara moment. Mm-hmm. So I've had about 6 of those in the last 6 months. On buses, I've talked to people, and suddenly I know it's just, there's something here. God brought this person to me for whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. So it's like, that's really neat stuff. Yes. The other thing that's happened to me is I have 6 kids. But my oldest daughter, Kira, who's not my biologic daughter, but we were very close for all of her life, she got very angry with me after I went to jail because I didn't use the lawyer she wanted for appeal. And it was, foolish things. And I didn't speak with her for 9 years. Now my other kids, I would speak to them, and I guess one of the funny things with kids, and they're not kids. I mean, the youngest is 36, the oldest is 50. But I'd be talking with them on the phone, and they'd be telling me things like, "Oh, I've got so much trouble because of this and because of that." And I would say to them, "Listen, maybe you just go rob a bank and go to jail. You might be much more happy doing that." So I didn't talk to Kira, but then more recently, and my kids live all over the country. One from LA and one from Atlanta decided to come in because they had a wedding to go to. And they were going to stay at Kira's, my oldest daughter's. And she's very well off. And we were going to play pickleball. And so they came in, and I, in a funny way, I said to her, why don't you invite Kira to come and play? And they were like, rolling their eyes, like, you must be nuts, Dad, right? So I get to this place where we're going to play outdoors, and I'm playing because I got there early. And I see my 2 daughters walking up, and I haven't seen anybody in 9 years. So they're coming up, and they got their gear on, and they're carrying their paddles and whatnot. Right behind them is Kira. And it was, we played, and it reminded me of playing with my kids when they were 10 years old, 5 years old, 15 years old, out in the yard. That's the way it was. That was the interchange. And then we went out to lunch and so on. So in the last 7 weeks, I've gotten a chance to get together with Kira. We've never talked about the stuff that happened because it's a waste of time. It wasn't important ever anyway. And she actually invited me. I went with her to lunch this week. She wanted to hear. She said, well, what's in this book that you're always talking about? So we had a nice time doing it. So these are, what do we got, Jake? What's the time?
You're at 10 minutes.
Well, it's not like I don't have other things I could go to, but I think 10 minutes is up. So anyway, I've seen now 4 of my kids, and one of my kids just moved back to Philadelphia from Seattle, out of the blue. I didn't even know he was coming. So that I've now seen 4 of my kids, my 2 grandkids that are 20. These 2 are 21 and 19, and played pickleball with them. And you know, I've done these things, and he's just got so much. So for me, every day is an unbelievable adventure.
Yes, amen.
And even though that, you know, I don't see families and kids here right now in this setting, but I'm 70 years old. But I've always said, even in jail, that I'm growing younger. I'm down to 46, and so I continue to do that. But I know, like Moses, I'm going to live to be 120. And on the day he died, when he walked up that hill, he had perfect eyesight, and that's going to be me. So I still have 50 years to go, and it's 50 years of daily adventure that I have, and so I can't wait for every day.
Amen.
Thank you. All right. Pleasure, man.
Or turn the mic on, don't look at your watch, it's already cut my shirt on the way back. Jack told me what they were gonna do today, I knew it better. But the bottom, before I turn the mic on, but the bottom line is, you'll end up in life based on what you have, the revelation of Jesus Christ. That's really what it gets down to. You come into it, I'll turn the mic on and the worship's great, intercession tonight, everything's good. But the thing is, what's in your heart? It's out of the abundance of the heart that man speaks. So that's why we put an emphasis on the word here. So anyhow, is my mic on?